This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Welcome to the Supreme Resort Land v World, a podcast about Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and which is the Supreme Resort. In each episode, we will discuss and explore each resort, ride by ride, land by land, park by park, to determine which is better. I'm your host, Jimmy, and thank you for joining me on this quest to help the greater good of humanity answer this long, elusive question. Which is better? Disneyland or Walt Disney World?
Joining me to do so much editing?
No. Joining me as always is Dan.
Hi. If you would also like to have Grammarly destroy your show notes that you're used to using, use promo code Asher at checkout.
That was Supreme 69.
Well, yeah, but this is a family show.
Okay. Also joining us as always is Erik. Hi, Erik.
Hi, I'm going to edit myself out of this show.
That's a good call. Good idea. Guys, welcome to the Supreme Resort. Yes, thanks. Grammarly has adjusted the show dialogue, which is why it may have sounded a little different to you this time.
I didn't notice a difference.
As you all know, everything we say and do on this show is scripted.
That's right.
It takes a really long time to write.
And you've seen Anchorman. He'll read anything that's on the teleprompter. Okay, so guys, I went to Disneyland Paris.
Oh.
I went and I spent 3 days. It was at the end of a work trip, and I brought some clients and fellow employees with me. And I have to tell you,
it sucks.
We had just come back from Denmark. And it was rainy and it was cold. And I'm like, you know what, guys? I've been to Disneyland Paris a lot. And I've got these other people. I'm like, am I going to have to entertain them? Like, this is just miserable. So we went on a Friday afternoon. It wasn't very crowded. It had been really kind of light all week. You know, it's the fall.
Because they have seasons in Paris, in France.
That's right. And it's just going to be tedious. And like, let's go. Also, these people had never been to Paris before. And it'd be like, I don't know. I'm trying to give you a comparison.
It'd be like going to America for the first time and saying, hey, let's go to Las Vegas.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair. I was going to say it's like somebody who always wanted to go to Atlanta and I take them to Swanee, Georgia, which is where I live. It's like, that's not quite. Anyway. So I felt kind of guilty, and we went, and then we decided, all right, here's what we're going to do. Friday, we get there. We land at Charles de Gaulle, and we took the Charles de Gaulle direct from Charles de Gaulle to Disneyland Paris. The first stop, it's 9 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. From door to door.
Which in French is, what's 9 minutes?
9 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
The last time I went to Disneyland Paris was in 2018. So it's been
French, please.
Anyway, it's been 6 ans.
There we go. Thank you. I don't even know if that's right or not.
It's been 6 years, almost exactly to the day, by the way, that I went 6 years ago, my birthday. And so it's been a while. I hadn't taken. Point is that I'm discombobulated. I'm taking people. We decide we're going to do the Premier Access Pass. Okay, for you domestic people. That's like lightning lane.
In French.
L'idiot.
Listenership in Montreal went way out on this episode.
Le moron.
Finally.
So decided to do the Premier Access, which is lightning lane multi-pass. Okay. Premier Access works like this. You buy it and you go. There's no reservations. There's no whatever. You just buy it and you go. You can only do it once per ride. So it's kind of like Universal Express Pass.
Not ultimate.
$120
Oh,
for this
very
Express
much
Pass.
like Universal Express Pass.
So
The
you
next-
basically, you're just like, I'm writing this now.
That's it. And I would say the wait time, very similar to a Lightning Lane multi-pass. You're waiting a little bit, but maybe 5 minutes. So we went on, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, something like that, rides on that Friday. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. And let's just do it. And I'm trying to entertain people. And then the next day we decided to go into Paris. So I know that city really well. I observed that, having lived there, worked at Disneyland, etc., I've been to the city of Paris, France, more than any city on the planet, with the exception of Atlanta. And so it's a really weird thing to say, but I've been there probably 30 times. Like, I know this city really well. So I'm going and we do the thing. We hop on, hop off, bus tour, Arc de Triomphe, etc. And at some point I'm like, guys, I've done this. I'm going to Disneyland. So I left them at like 5 in the afternoon. It's like,
Here's
trains
some
that way.
baguettes and some wine. I'm out.
Trains that way. I'm out.
Did you find the most surly stereotypical French man to leave them with? Just,
Yeah, blue and white striped shirt.
There you go. Watch this.
Yeah, a beret.
He's a mime.
That's right. Anyhow, so go back to Disneyland, and I'm by myself. And by God, was it just one of the most exquisite experiences, because I didn't have to worry about entertaining people. So I just got lost. And then the next.
Oh, I have a thought about that. Remember when we were talking before, this was many episodes ago, you were saying that you don't enjoy going to Disney World or Disneyland by yourself.
That's
because
correct.
you're used to going there to entertain
and
people
guide.
and to make sure, to guide them. But
That's right.
if I remember correctly, your initial experience with Disneyland Paris was solo, right?
Well, with people that I didn't know. But yes, that's correct.
Right. So you were kind of like, so that's interesting, because there's like this site specific thing there where, like,
That's a good point.
if you seem to enjoy that one more solo, because that's probably how you encountered it in some form the first time.
Yeah, that's a reasonable thing to say, Dan. And I guess just real briefly, I wrote a blog about it, but I had only ever been to Disneyland up until 1997. I hadn't been to Disney World, hadn't been anywhere but Disneyland. That's before DCA. The only Disney park experience I'd ever had was Disneyland. I go to Disneyland Paris, to your point. I'm by myself the first time. Yes, I was traveling with people I didn't know, but I just went into the park.
May as well be by yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm walking around, and that's when I just kind of happen upon this dungeon with this dragon. And that is the moment that is like, oh, okay, there's a lot more to this. And then I just got lost in the park. So yes, Dan, 100%, you nailed it. So I went back by myself that evening. Phantom Manor, the riverboat, it was crowded AF. It was crazy crowded. And I looked at the Premier Access Pass, 160 euros. 160 euros, which is like 180 something dollars. Same with the next day. It was just awful. Anyway, the next day, I went back with one of my employees, and I was like, here's the deal. I'm not going to entertain you. I'm not going to, I'm not going to, I'm just going and
look at you or
you can
with
follow
you.
me around, but
I think I know who this person is.
You don't.
Okay.
But anyway, so I'm just like, I'm going to go into this park, and if you're with me, I'm going to tell you a myriad of things you don't care about. You don't have to like it. You don't have to answer me. I'm just going to talk to you. But all I did, I just went into the park. I went to the right, and I just hugged the park, and I went on rides, and I walked around, and I just got lost. I spent 10 hours in that park.
When your employee wasn't with you, did you just talk to strangers or nobody at all?
That's correct.
They love that, especially the French.
That's right. But I just had I fell in love with the park again, and it is my single favorite Disney park. And here's a couple of reasons why. So the arcades, the Liberty Arcade on the left and the Discovery Arcade on the right, it's cold and rainy. You can walk down Main Street in exquisitely decorated hallways, essentially. So it's like your little hack walking through Disneyland, where you're walking through the stores, but it's designed for you to do that without having to navigate through people. There's bathrooms, there's showpieces, museum things. There's all kinds of stuff in these beautifully decorated arcades. Phantom Manor is so cool. Thunder Mountain is incredibly awesome. Space Mountain goes upside down 3 times. The dragon under the castle. you can get lost in Adventureland, man. It is so big. Adventureland at Disneyland and Disney World are small. Like there's not a lot to them, but you can literally get lost. It's like a combination of Adventureland and Tom Sawyer Island all together. Walking through pirate ships and caves and just waterfalls everywhere, and you just get lost. And it was so cool. The best Frontierland, hands down, in any of the parks. I don't know. Anyway, Fantasyland is just kind of meh, but the labyrinth for the Alice's Labyrinth is kind of cool. A little maze for Alice in Wonderland. But man, I'm telling you, I love that place, and stay tuned. There might be more content.
Yeah. Are you trying to say that Disneyland Paris is the supreme resort? Because
I am saying
we're going to have to change the show.
In fact, if you remember back to episode 1, if we can't decide a winner between Disneyland and Disney World, Disneyland Paris wins. I think Disneyland Paris is the supreme resort in general. And I believe we should have some future content arguing that there are attractions at Disneyland Paris that are better than Disneyland and Disney World.
So we need to bring Jeremy back.
100%.
Yes.
Okay.
And by the way, Jimmy or Eric or both of you in tandem, is there a way that our listeners can go to Disneyland Paris?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Let's just talk over each other.
Way to do it.
Yes, Erik, I'm going to start when you go.
Concierge is a great place to talk to people, and you can get your plans together.
Disneyland Paris, Disneyland, Disney World, and the Disney Cruise Lines.
Yeah.
Regular listeners are used to that.
856 hour years. Okay. All right. That was it. It's wonderful, and please go. It's like the castle's like an MC Escher painting. Like half of it's up on a hill, the other half of it's on the land. It's exquisite. Well done, Tony Baxter.
Do they have the Psycho House on the hill?
That's right.
Okay, good.
There's a backlot tour. Actually, the backlot tour this is at the studios. By the way, Walt Disney Studios, hands down, the worst Disney theme park on the planet.
That's what I've heard.
Horrible. They repurposed Rock and Roller Coaster. Okay. So Rock and Roller Coaster, for those of you who know, at Disney World, is going through the freeways of LA and yada yada. At Disney World, it was just you're backstage at the concert. So you're going through, it's basically the same ride, but rather than going through Hollywood sign and whatever, it's just flashing stage lights. That's all it was.
That sounds awesome.
I think we talked about that on the show that we covered that one on.
So they repurposed it as a Iron Man and Captain Marvel, right?
Okay,
it's a wonderful ride.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun. But I'm telling you guys, even in that it's the busiest I've ever seen it day. That ride had a max wait of like 15 minutes. Huh. Nobody wants to go on it, and I don't understand why.
The Parisians dislike roller coasters.
No, they don't.
Or as they say in the France,
low roller coaster. Low roller coaster. But I'm telling you, Thunder Mountain is hour wait at minimum hour wait.
Interesting.
Oh my! They love Space Mountain. Crush's coaster, 90 minutes all the time.
I want to do Crush's coaster.
Yeah, it's really fun
for sure.
Anyway, okay, so let's move on with the show. Go to Disneyland Paris if you decide to. It's 856 hour years. Okay.
Hey, let's stay at a cheap hotel.
On our last episode, we discussed the first 9 value resorts. We're calling them value resorts. Disneyland calls them moderate, but they're equal to value. We covered the 9 hotels that were within a less than half mile across the street adjacent to Disneyland Resort. And we ran out of time before we could get to Disney World and those 5 value resorts before we get back to Disneyland to cover the other 9 value resorts that are half mile and beyond distance from Disneyland. Okay. So
you want to continue with Disneyland or?
Well, it's up to you.
You had a plan. Yeah.
The plan was Disney World and then go back to Disneyland.
And then we'll go back to Disneyland. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I want to just express to you, the listener. When we talked last time, we established that there were significantly more value resort hotel rooms at Disney World than there were in all of Disneyland Resort, all Good Neighbor hotels, etc. And we also talked about some of the pricing. These prices that we're going to share in this episode were selected as August 12th, 2025 for 1 night, 2 adults, 2-day park hopper. Okay.
Oh, and just in case you are starting with this episode and you haven't listened to the one before, should we give like a real brief? Just this is what we're doing. This because we did we're doing Good Neighbor Hotels, right?
That's
around
right.
Disneyland area. We started off with Across the Street, which is I'm using air quotes for because some of them are on the same side of the street. We talked about all of them in pretty good detail. Gave some tips and tricks in terms of like, this one's kind of like that. That one's kind of like that. You might not want to consider staying there. All that.
Yeah, this one has free breakfast. This one has yeah.
So Dan's a pro.
And I think it's probably worth noting, Dan, that when we're doing this series of episodes, we are doing value, then moderate, then deluxe. We're going to do the whole thing. If it is not listed on Disney's website, Disney World, Disneyland.com, .go, whatever, if it's not listed as a Good Neighbor hotel or a Disney property, we are not discussing it. It does not exist.
But
there
I did
are some
have
honorable mentions.
I did have honorable mentions, right? So I guess why I'm saying that is if you are someone who is listening to this and you're like, yeah, I know the Disneyland stuff, I know what's around there, but you haven't actually like stayed at any of those places.
That's right.
I have, or one of us has, or
between the three of us. Yeah.
So we gave some extra things that you might find helpful, you might not. That's it.
Yeah, and this is less of a versus and more informational, just exploring what, if I'm going to go to these resorts, where do I stay and why? And why is it that the Fairfield Inn across the street is so much more expensive than, say, the Candy Cane Inn? They're about the same distance.
Really good question.
They're about the same distance. Why would I stay at one? Why would I stay?
I mean, Candy Cane's pretty clean.
Why is the Courtyard Hotel $600 a night and the Fairfield or the Howard Johnson's next door is $200? That's what we're getting into. So,
also, Candy Cane Inn not made of candy canes. Just in case.
What? Mm-hmm. I'm off the show.
They had that one very rainy season where they're like, maybe not candy canes.
That's like the Big Rock Candy Mountain famous story. Okay, where did it go? Okay, so while I find my notes, Erik, would you like to please, we've gone through the 9, like Dan said, that were adjacent across the street to Disneyland. Before we get to the ones further away in the value category, would you please share a little bit of history and detail of the Walt Disney World value resorts?
I would enjoy doing so.
So much.
Thank you for asking. So,
your attention, please.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
It's the era of Eisner. It's the era of expanding hotels in the Walt Disney World area, saying we have so many people coming here. We need to have more places for them to go. We need to have some affordable places for them to go because people are staying at cheap ass motels just outside of the Disney World area.
Right. They're all staying at the Florida Project Motel, basically.
Right. This is Walt's dream. It's let's keep everybody inside the bubble. Let's keep them here. We'll keep them captive. It's not as sinister as it seems.
Not at all.
No, it's just capitalism at its finest.
Yes.
There we go. So the value resorts in general, they're set far away from the parks, relatively. A lot of them are placed close to the ESPN sports complex. This is perfect for cheerleader competitions, dance teams, kids sports teams, bands, etc. It's a place where you can stay. Where
what about chess clubs? It's good for chess clubs.
Hang on. Let me spend the next 7 minutes looking at chess clubs.
Thespian festivals, is it good for that?
Oh yeah, no, they don't go to Walt Disney World. They chess clubs are so rad. They go to Vegas.
How about Model UN? Is that
Ooh.
Model UN. Model UN goes to Montenegro.
right.
Yeah.
Well, they might
Yeah.
want to go because there's Epcot there, and they can be like, see,
Hey, look.
Follow up.
Look how great it is when all these countries get along, huh?
Follow up from a previous episode, or maybe a previous After Hours. We got the order from Disney for the drain that we developed for them.
nice.
Yes.
Going into the Wide World of Sports complex. It'll be shipped this year, and I'm very excited.
Oh my goodness, this is absurdly awesome.
I'm very excited, and we
I'm
developed it
excited
for them.
you.
If it goes well, I think they might adopt it to all outdoor areas. It's pretty
Sweet.
cool. Anyway,
all
go
right.
ahead, continue.
You can drain the bathrooms
swamp.
at
Literally draining the swamp.
these resorts are pretty much cookie cutter. The actual rooms are about 260 square feet a piece, except for the family suites, which are 565 square feet. The national average for hotel rooms, I'm very thankful you asked. It's 330 square feet, but it's still larger than a cruise ship, which generally tops out at 190 square feet per room.
Ooh.
These resorts were a hit. So the first ones that opened were the All-Star Resorts. They were designed by the architecture firm Arquitectonica out of Miami. The architects Bernardo Fort Brescia and Lorinda Hope designed the original resorts there. They were hired to design motels for Disneyland Paris, which famously had too many hotel rooms when it opened up.
Still do.
Yep. And they came up.
Sorry, Eric. Another fun fact I just thought of when you were talking was at Disneyland Paris. The Disneyland Hotel, is at the entrance. Famously, you have to walk underneath it to get to the what do they call it? The main area before the. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
The hub.
Not that, because you still have to go under the
Before the
railroad
hub.
tracks, but you go through the hotel to get to the front where the Mickey mural is. But the Mickey mural is in front of the hotel at Disneyland. Anyway, point is, the room I got was the Newport Bay, which is across from the New York Hotel Art of Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And for 3 nights, 2 people, 3 nights, 4-day park hopper, you don't have a choice. Like you book 3 nights, you're getting 4-day park hopper, whether you like it or not. If you try to do it a la carte, it's going to be more expensive because you're there for 3 nights. Therefore, you are there for 4 days. So you have to buy 4-day park hopper. It was $1,700 and the Newport Bay is very akin to Yacht Club.
That's not bad.
Not bad. The Art of Marvel Hotel across the water it was like 2,000 something.
It's more
Yeah.
to be further away.
No, it's not. It's technically closer, but
Okay.
the Sequoia Lodge, which is like Wilderness Lodge, about the same price as the Newport, a little bit less expensive. So 1,700, 2,000, something like that. The Disneyland Hotel, which is at the entrance, it's about, let's say 300 yards from Newport to the Disneyland Hotel. The Disneyland Hotel is right there. $9,000
Ooh.
for the exact same stay.
Wow.
$9,000.
I have never
it saves
taken
you 300 yards.
I've taken some extravagant vacations,
you
but
have.
not 9,000.
$9,000 to get now, and that's not even guaranteed. When I stayed there, it was not that much. I stayed there for my birthday 6 years ago. Our view is the parking lot.
Okay.
Like $9,000, you might be looking at the parking lot. I don't even want to know what the room facing the castle might be, but anyway,
a king bed and
if you're lucky.
Ugh. Ugh.
Anyway, the end. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, these architects were initially contacted to build places for Disneyland Paris, but they came up with the concept of theming after something like movies or sports, a general concept instead of a specific concept like the Old West of the USA. Like they weren't doing Frontierland again. They were doing something bigger, something more diffuse. So they came back and they designed the All-Star Sports, Music, and Movies resorts. These were all pretty much designed to have a large pool. They didn't have water slides or anything going into them. They were kind of generic. It's just, here's a pool. Go to the pool. They wanted to have the buildings be the same cookie cutter blocks with different decorations. So different railing, different big things along the staircases, just different than the other one, but still the same block of flats, kind of.
You've all played, well, many people have played Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you're like, I'm going to build the House of Mirrors or whatever. And it's like, would you like to build this one? Or you want to build that one? And it's like, just kind of like the color's different.
Yeah, pretty much. Here is a box where people can live. They created, like they really wanted to lean into this Florida kitsch sort of thing where they wanted to have large.
They sure did.
Yeah, they wanted to have large accent items. So beyond the big pools, which everybody likes, it's designed for what do people like? Let's make it bigger. We don't need to have massive theming. We don't need to do something really, really that interesting. We just need to do something. And they did.
I would, the way I think about these is on top of that, it's sort of like, okay, you want to stay somewhere that's affordable. So motel, but you want to feel like you're staying at a Disneyland resort. So giant theme thing. So that when inevitably the family melts down on like the third day, and they're like, we're not even really staying at Disneyland. You point at the giant like 101 Dalmatians thing and be like, look, see? Yeah, we are.
Yeah, look, there's a car from the Cars. You like the Cars? Don't you like the Cars?
Look at how magic this is. Do you see the giant jukebox?
Right. These giant items kind of reflected the old motel culture of roadside attractions. So you're going down Route 66. What makes you pull over into a specific roadside motel? Mm-hmm. It's the giant thing that goes, oh, hey, look at that. Yeah, that's why you pull over and you assume it's going to be clean and fewer bed bugs than the other places.
Right.
We're going for fewer bed bugs. That's what we're going for with.
Not many fewer, just fewer.
Right, fewer than the other value resorts. So it's all bus service. We're pretty far removed from everything.
Because value, like whatever, just give them a bus.
It's in a different county. It's not a joke. It's in a different county.
They're lucky we're not making them walk.
Yeah, there you go. But you can't walk. There are no sidewalks. There are no roads that bring the average person to a park anywhere. The idea is like we're trying to. I don't know what my dog just did.
Well, while you process that, I just want to add that, listener, I'm glad that these things exist. I'm only making fun of them because it's an easy target. Like it's fine. Like
I love them.
Yeah, these places make it possible for people to go there that otherwise wouldn't be able to go, and I'm all for that.
Absolutely,
it's just it is really funny to make fun of how on the nose. It's like it is very value. It is very clearly value, and it's very much like, well, okay, here's theme. Shut up.
Yeah, but I mean, when we get down to it, we'll get there later. But how much more theme is it? It's a different sort of theme to walk up to your room and look up at a like 20-foot tall Ursula
I would
Yeah.
say it's this. These places are the line, and again, I'm mostly positive about them. They're just so fun and easy to make fun of. These places are kind of the line between theme and just try. Like it's
Yeah,
like,
but-
well, we made an effort. Clearly, theme, maybe. I mean, the lobby, sure, but from there, you're kind of on your own.
No. They've got much more than just the lobby. We'll get there. There are 12,544 value resort rooms.
That's a lot of value.
That's a lot.
That's
So a couple of things just to buttress what you're saying. I copied and pasted from the Disney travel agent website, and I didn't carry the pictures over, but there was a description, and the description for All-Star Music Resort says giant jukebox.
Yep.
One of the themed icons at Disney's All-Star Music Resort. All, by the way, in the Animal Kingdom Resort area. Eric, to your point, you're taking a bus, period, to get
everything.
to, or you can Uber or whatever, but you're not
Or
walking.
you could drive if you
Yeah,
drove
or you
your
could
car
drive.
there.
Good point.
If you're from Georgia and you drove to
That's right.
those
And by the
places.
way, if I'm going to park at the All-Star Music, for example, I'm going to pay the $30 or whatever to park. But when I drive over to Disney World, Epcot, whatever, I don't have to pay for parking again.
yeah.
So here's a good question in that tips and tricks area. If you do have access to a car, whether rental or driving or whatever, do you think, and this is a genuine question because I've never been in this situation, do you think it would be beneficial if you're staying in one of these resorts to just drive rather than rely on the bus?
It depends on what you're going to do. So for me, if I'm going to try to rope drop and I just want to be there and I want to control my own destiny, I'm going to drive because then I can control it. Now,
Right.
Magic Kingdom's a different story because it's you can't park any closer than a mile away from
Yeah, you got to go to the ticket and transportation
right.
center.
But if I'm going to go to Epcot or Animal Kingdom, it's right there. I mean, it's in
Right.
the Animal Kingdom Resort area.
yeah, you're
I'm
2
gonna
miles
drive.
from there.
If I'm going to the Food and Wine Festival and I'm going to enjoy all the frivolities and whatnot, I'm not going to drive because it's against the law.
Right.
So just for some framing, the All-Star Hotel, that same parameters I gave earlier, 1 night, 2 adults, 2-day park hopper on a bus or car or whatever, it's $925 for that package. If I'm going to do a similar thing at like Best Western plus Raffies, it's $1,043 for the same parameter, and I'm probably going to have to drive. I could walk, right? But that's-
Raffles, you could definitely walk.
I could walk where I can't walk from All Star.
Right. So it sounds like if it's not cost prohibitive, having a car available, if convenience is, if you're willing, if convenience is very important and it's not cost prohibitive to have the car there, that's probably, if you're staying in one of these places, because of the various things that can go wrong with public, for lack of a better term, public transportation with buses, having a car available is certainly not a bad idea.
Yeah,
That's
if you're like not a socialist.
Yeah, you're flying in from wherever, and you're
Allowed to have cars.
You're flying into MCO, and you're staying at Disney World. Beauty part is you don't need a car because they'll transport you everywhere.
Right.
But you're also reliant exclusively on those buses, which are
Right.
fairly reliable. But
But
if
things
you're,
happen. Yeah. Like for me, I'm a little bit of a, when it comes to these things, I want to know if I want to get to a certain place at a certain time,
Right.
I'm willing to pay, X amount per day for a thing to be able to say, like, I know that I can get to the place that I want to get to at a reasonable time.
and if you decide you wanted to Uber instead, you're out
Right.
of luck because Uber can't pick you up from there, but Lyft can.
Oh God. Okay.
There you go.
Anyway,
All
keep
right.
going, Eric.
Well, if we're gonna go chronologically here, the All-Star Resorts, again designed out of a firm in Miami. The first resort to open was on April 29th, 1994. That was the All-Star Sports Resort, which is now 1,920 rooms. At the opening, the GM of the All-Star Resports, Don Robinson said, the theming, architecture, and landscaping all work together to make this a fantastic setting. Yeah. Ah. That's
The
probably
theming is
laugh
nice
that
here.
he-
Is basically what he
Theming
said.
is nice here.
Yeah. So the first area to open was Surf's Up on the 29th of April. They
What year was
have,
this?
What's that?
What year?
1994.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry. The main attraction here at the entrance of the area is a 38-foot tall surfboard. The Hoops Go ahead.
Is this the beginning of the pun era for
Oh,
Disney?
1994. Oh gosh.
That could be.
And is this the inciting moment of that era? When did Wells?
when did Wells die?
Yeah, I didn't want to say.
When
it like
did
that.
Eisner okay everything? Yep,
That's a good question.
That's a good pun.
And the
Hello?
schmoozies of it
That's a
all.
good pun.
1994?
Wow.
Oh no.
Wow. You're onto something, Dan. I think
So
it's
good
interesting
theory.
that the popularity of the All-Star resorts in order. All-Star Movies sells out first, All-Star Sports, and then All-Star Music. There's almost never
movies
a room
movies
at
didn't open
movies.
until 1999.
I'm talking about today, like now.
Oh, today.
If you're
Okay.
if you're going to book an All-Star, movies is almost never available. Sports sometimes, music always.
I'm gonna go deeper down this rabbit hole. I think Breck Eisner had had an influence in
Oh,
sports being the
Breck.
first thing, because Eisner was trying to appeal to teens.
That's right.
All right.
And you know what teens love? Sports.
Sports. So the next area was the Hoops Hotel that opened on May 13th, 1994. The landscaping had a display of 5 Washingtonian palms playing against 5 Sabal palms. They put palm trees on a
Sable.
grid against each other.
That's cute. Now, were these individual hotels?
These are individual blocks of hotel
Okay.
within.
Was it called
All-Star
All-Star
Sports.
Sports?
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
It's all All-Star Sports. Yeah,
Got it.
So we've got 5 areas here. So also within the Hoops Hotel area, there's a 20-foot tall ref whistle, and a 45-foot tall megaphone at the entrance to the building. Touchdown was next, June 26th, 1994. Giant helmets that, if you were to put them on a person, that person would need to be 200 feet tall.
Okay, hold
Home
on.
Run Hotel, July 22nd,
95.
1994.
Indiana Jones Adventure opens, and that was they were working on that for some time. So that was a Wells project probably.
Oh, okay.
98 New Tomorrowland opens. I'm focusing right now just on
We're so
Disneyland.
far from 1998.
I know, but I'm just saying that, like, I think this is the moment when we started opening that door to, like, this version of, like, the pun version of Disney. So Fast Pass.
okay.
Let's see what else. Millionth Guest. 2000. Well, I mean, we're already 2000s. We're securely in that place. Let me check out Disney World.
See schmoozies, see award winners.
That's what I'm getting
Gosh.
to. So let's see. Oh, this one's by month. Okay, hold on. This is weird. 95 Circle of Life opens. Galaxy Place Theater in 95 as well. Over at we got Test Track, Cali River. Okay, maybe not Wide World of Sports. So we're looking at like
Theory's falling
94,
apart.
98 area. Astro Orbiter opens, All Star Sports, Flights of Wonder, 94 Wilderness Lodge. Okay, the theory is falling apart a little bit.
That's right.
96 Donald's Boat minis. Okay, so we have
There's a lot of Toontown.
Toontown. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a
Toontown
lot
stuff.
of pun in Toontown.
Yeah, and then 94. So yeah, again, Disney Magic Maiden Voyage, Port Canaveral, downtown Rainforest Cafe opens in 96. Ellen's Energy Adventure in 96.
Ooh.
Yep.
Featuring Bill Nye.
Stupid
well.
Judy.
Let's see. Stupid Judy. Ariel's Grotto, Goofy's Barnstormer, Imageworks in 99. Let's see. Honey, I Shrunk the Audience in 94. I mean,
Okay, Eric.
We're not.
Yeah, Dan's just listing facts. I don't know where we're going here with this.
I'm just saying.
I have a fun segment later.
I think that
Okay.
this is the beginning. This is the inciting these value resorts, which again I'm all for, but like the sort of method of theming of like just slap a baseball on it. I think this is the moment where we get into pun-based Imagineering.
It could be. It was also rather 90s, but
Yeah.
All
go
right.
ahead, Eric.
Sorry.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
So,
I'm gonna
Home
turn
Run
my microphone
Hotel, July 22, 1994. They have giant Coke cups, giant baseball bats. Center Court opened up August 11th, 1994. 51. The other. I'm dyslexic in my reading. 51-foot tall tennis rackets. And that's
How tall would the person have to be to hold that tennis racket?
Hold on. I'll ask Google. Keep going.
976 feet. I don't know.
How big is the racket again?
51 feet.
Okay, 1 second. I'll get the facts for you.
All right, he'll come back to that one. 1994, in November, the All-Star Music Resort opened up with another 1,920 rooms. This was the first place to have family suites. And then in 1999, in January, All-Star Movies opened up with an additional 1,920 rooms. These are powerhouses of putting people into places.
Eric, are all three resorts the same number of rooms?
Yeah, pretty much.
1,092, give or take?
Yeah, 1,000. No, not pretty much. Yes, they are.
Wow.
All 1,920 rooms. That's a hell of a lot of rooms.
It's a lot.
And they're all way off from anything other than Animal Kingdom.
So now you said a couple of things. You said 1,092, and then you said 1,920. I know we have some numerical dyslexia going on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 1,920
Okay,
rooms.
so that's just under 6,000 rooms. Now, back to when we talk about transportation and, proximity and whatever, when you're staying at these resorts, you must get a bus, period, or drive or whatever.
Right.
And you must get the bus from the main building, which I assume you're going to go into the food courts of it all.
Yeah. I mean, each resort has its own large quick service food court. You've got to go down to the main area.
Right. But my point was that's where you get the bus. And depending on where you're staying, which resort of the three you're staying in, is the order in which you get picked up and the order in which you get dropped off. So, for example, if you're at movies towards the bottom, you may be picked up first, but then you'll be picked up or dropped off last. So, the end of a long day, beginning of a long day, you're there and you're ready to go, and you're there at 7:30 or whatever it is. You get on the bus, and then you go to the music. And then those people may or may not get on that bus. And then you go to sports, and those people may or may not get on the bus. And then in reverse, it's a lot.
Yeah. That's a big deal. It's not an ideal. Really, these resorts kind of rely on giant things to make you feel like you're in a themed area.
I'll repeat, I love them. Enjoy them a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad.
I think the main thing here is they're great. We're glad they exist. But if you really, really want to get the most out of your time, you need to know what they are and what you're getting into.
Yeah. I mean, staying in a family suite is good. Like, if you've got that, like, for your family, that's great, but you have to realize that you're going to have to take a bus everywhere.
Right. Right.
Unless you're going for the upscale value resorts, which we'll get to in a minute. I will say one of my favorite facts here is that the Buzz Lightyear in the movies resort is basically described by Imagineers as having spindly legs topped by a Winnebago. You could have an apartment in his chest cavity.
Wow.
By the way,
this is what we're talking about when we're talking about big icons.
By the way, speaking of big icons, how do you guys want to take a guess on how tall a tennis player would have to be to use a 51-foot racket?
12.
I would say, let's see, you get regular rackets, 200 feet.
101.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, that's a small guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think just to put a pin on this, we are not by any stretch of the imagination saying don't stay at these places. They're terrible. Not at all. We are really, when we're going through all these details, I think the point is to say, like, okay, if you want to really get a good you could do the value resorts, pay less, do all that stuff. And by the way, here are some things that if you know, it can be a so much better experience than like probably 90% of the people around you in that hotel are experiencing.
Yeah. Disneyland wishes they had space for value resorts.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also that what's going to end up happening here is this is going to be its own episode.
I think so too.
Okay. So having established that, I want to point out a couple things that I really like about these resorts. So starting with All-Star Sports, okay, which was the first, right? So all of these hotels have really, really well-themed pools. Now, granted, they're big bodies of water, see Anaheim Hotel, just giant pools.
I think that's the main thing. They are giant pools.
Yeah.
And the theming is, it's all that big stuff, right? So, but effort was put in, and it can be.
Yeah. And if you look at it from an aerial map, these resorts are really well themed. So, for example, in sports, when you enter through the main building and the cafeteria and all that stuff, you have it's the softball bay pool, which has wavy lines in it. And then further into the resort, there's like one of the hotel complexes, the football one, has a full-on football field between the two towers with the Mickey Mouse as the 50-yard line. I don't know about all the palm trees anymore, and then there's another one that looks like a baseball diamond.
They don't do that at the hoops anymore?
What's that? Oh, the Sable Palms?
Hoops Hotel was the one where the palms were facing off against different palms.
It could very well be. I'm just from the aerial view. I just thought it was the baseball diamond one and the baseball tower thing.
I'm looking at the map now. I had no idea that All-Star Sports was as big as it is.
It's big.
It's so massive.
The Grand Slam
All of
pool,
these things are so massive.
Shaped like a baseball diamond. And then, of course, at the music, the main pool is a giant guitar.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And then further on is a giant piano shaped like a piano called the piano pool.
A piano-shaped piano?
That's right.
Bizarre.
And then I guess this is all still part of sports because this one is the duck pond pool. It looks like a hockey court, complete with goalies.
Mm-hmm.
That must still be sports.
Oh, that might be movies because
it might be. At
oh
point.
man, Mighty Ducks, of course. Thank you. Because then there's also at the movies is it's the Fantasia pool.
Yeah.
And if you want to drive around it, you'd be driving on Showbiz Lane.
Mm-hmm. And there's a giant chessboard there.
Movies has a Love Bug.
That's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
And a Toy Story section. And
that's right. But that's not how it opened, is it, Eric? Do you have that information?
1999, Love Bug. And Toy Story.
Toy Story in 99. And then Fantasia, there's the Mickey hat thing.
Yeah.
Sorcerer's hat.
Most of this stuff was there from the get-go.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So big.
Giant.
You can
stuff.
stay at sports if you don't like sports, and you can stay at
No.
music if you don't. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, you can't.
No, there's
when,
a test you have
so
to
when someone
pass.
calls concierge, are you like,
That's
okay,
right.
who's your favorite tennis player?
And if they don't have the answer, then they can stay in music.
Martina, Sandoval.
Pop Century
Nope.
for you, stupid.
Wait, we're not there yet.
Sorry.
Can I? I'm sorry. I'm just, I get excited about things, and I just want to take a look. Can we have a little
I love how
sidebar?
excited you are about the things.
Can we have a sidebar?
Sure.
Sure.
All right. First of all,
I'll put in some music in post.
this episode is going to be called Valley Resorts Part 2.
Of course.
Because I'd like to share some other things that I found fascinating about my excursion to Disneyland Paris.
What?
We're going to talk about
Wait.
restaurants. Hold on, we're moving. We're coming back. This
fine.
is its own episode. We already decided, so we're not
how
going to go
much?
too long.
How much chili did you have?
Okay, so I had Walt's Chili. Well, I sent you guys a picture in Walt's restaurant, which is not what I was going to talk about, but it's an exquisitely beautiful restaurant above Main Street. You're looking down on all the commoners. Walt's Chili, which you can order, is a ceramic can.
Oh god!
You're eating out of a can of chili.
You're eating out of a
That's
can.
awesome.
I
But
love it.
it's ceramic, but it's shaped like a tin can. Anyway, so in Frontierland, guys, I told you about how much I love Frontierland. The Tom Sawyer Island portion of Frontierland is Big Thunder Mountain. In order to get onto that island, you have to go under the river in the ride, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some analogs. You got the Golden Horseshoe, except it's called the Lucky Nugget Saloon.
Lucky Nugget.
Lucky Nugget. And what
I
kind
don't
of
know that I like that.
food?
To
what
hear
kind
more
of
about
food
Lucky Nuggets, listen to After Hours.
in a box? What kind of food do they serve in Frontierland at the Lucky Nugget Saloon? Anybody?
Chicken nuggets.
Nope. What's it? Just general cuisine.
General cuisine, stuff from a can.
Okay, it's
Green beans.
Tex-Mex. Okay.
Oh, Tex-Mex.
All right.
Okay.
Now, next door at the Last Chance Cafe, think Pecos Bill. Okay. If you're thinking of
Okay.
this, what's analog for this? Last
What a-
Chance
what a
Cafe.
great- Okay.
Last Chance Cafe. What general cuisine are they serving at the Last Chance Cafe in Frontierland?
I'm going to go Chinese.
It is
Upscale.
Chinese food. It is Chinese food. Are you cheating?
No, I just
Chinese
thought,
food.
yeah.
I was going to go upscale Mexican,
No,
but
it's Chinese food, of course. Okay, a couple more. The Pinocchio restaurant. It is Au Chalet de la Marionnette. Pinocchio, based in Italy.
So it's not Italian food.
Based in
a
Italy.
lot of
What kind of
wooden food.
What kind of food is served at the Pinocchio restaurant?
American. Just general American.
German food, of course.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So
Toad.
sausages.
Sure. Toad Hall restaurant. Toad Hall restaurants is
Frog
Wind in
legs.
the Willows. What kind of food?
Curry.
It's a good guess.
There might be curry. Seafood. Seafood is the answer.
Oh, okay.
The Captain Jack's restaurant, which is Blue Bayou for Disneyland Paris, inside Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the
food.
Caribbean. It is in fact Caribbean food.
That I think
Good
I
job,
know ahead
man.
of time.
Oh,
And I
okay.
ate there on the water, and it was wonderful. We had, because Europeans eat so slowly, I'm like, okay, guys, it's fine. The fireworks show is in 2 hours. We have plenty of time. We had to cancel our dessert to barely make it in time, and it was still great. Right on the water, it was lovely, but it was just fascinating. And then finally, Casey's Corner. Okay, you're familiar with
just
that?
rum. It's only rum.
Casey's Corner. Casey's Corner.
It's on Main Street.
Hot
It is-
dogs.
It is hot dogs,
Okay.
and I will give you the French version of what Americans eat on their hot dogs. Hot dog, beef sausage with nachos,
Ew.
Mayonnaise.
caramelized onions, and barbecue sauce.
Oh, okay.
Oh my
Well, it's
god.
better than mayonnaise.
Ugh.
Anyway, it's fun. It's fun to think what Europeans think that Americans like. This has been.
To be fair, since we're sidebarring, here's a little fact about me. I don't care for barbecue sauce. And which is odd because I love condiments in all their forms.
Yeah, I'm shocked by this. How do I not know this about you?
Teriyaki, same thing.
Oh, that's Asian barbecue sauce.
I know.
Anyway, I thought it was fun. This has been What's on the Menu at Disneyland Paris. Back to your regularly scheduled program.
For that.
Yeah, but anyway, the Caribbean food was really good. Jerk chicken at the Captain Jack's. It's a fun restaurant. You know, it's bigger than Blue Bayou significantly, but very few tables are on the water. Anyway, great ride.
I'm now just looking at a map of Disney World.
All-Star Movies. No, we finished that one. Do you want me to go on with, do we want to go back to Disneyland before I hit Pop Century and Art of Animation? Because I have vastly more material.
I think we've decided that the Disney World value is going to be this episode.
This is already a pretty long episode.
And then we're going to go back to Disneyland for the third and final segment. I feel like Jim Hill.
My goodness.
You feel like Jim Hill?
Wow.
Just when you think
feel like
it's
Jim
over.
Hill every day.
Anyway, go ahead,
right.
Eric, keep going.
Pop Century 2003 opening. In January of 2001, the massive expansion of Valley Resorts was announced. They intended to do 2,880 rooms in multiple buildings across this little man-made lake. So totaling 5,760 resort rooms. Oh my goodness. This is all based off of the All-Star Resorts. They were very popular. It's great to get people into these rooms. It's great to get large groups of people into the rooms, but we wanted to do more motel style and keep going on with these giant decorations. So the intent was to open in two phases. The classic years was the second half of the previous century, and the legendary years was the first half of the past century. They were separated.
Before you go further with this, I want to share my own experience staying at Pop Century. I was in the giant jukebox wing, facing the parking lot. But it was nice because I think I was downstairs, and this was before.
Was this my wedding, or is this?
This was
before?
your wedding. Okay. Actually, I think I was second floor.
Wait, Jimmy got married at Walt Disney World?
That's right. And I spent the night before my wedding with Dan in the Pop Century.
Right. I think it was second
floor. Where I lost my virginity.
Looking out at it was kind of nice. There's trees. We don't talk about that. There was trees, and it was nice. And I was like, hey, this is a pretty cool place. I had no idea that there was another piece to this that you're about to get into. So, one day I forget when, I think it was just like kind of a downtime. I'm like, let me explore this resort. And I'm walking around and I'm going, oh, hey, here's this other thing. I didn't know there was a whole lake over here. So I'm looking over at the lake, and then I see this strange,
dead resort
mirror universe.
Yeah.
It
was unbuilt.
That's the
built,
weirdest
but just
part.
a building.
It was built, and I could kind of see that there were like dates on it. I'm like, what are those numbers? Is this a scientific facility where they're like making the Hulk or something? And then I figured it out. I'm like, oh, they were going to do the first half of the century, and then they realized that no one would go to it. That's insane. And it blew my mind. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. And what was interesting about that, so they had built one section of hotel. It's just an empty shell, which today, listener, if you're interested, and Eric, forgive me if I'm stepping on you.
Go for it.
That is the Little Mermaid. Those are the only rooms on campus that are regular hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Because they'd already built them.
Right.
And so they couldn't rebuild.
Wooden railings.
I mean, the whole thing, all concrete.
2x4.
Anyway, so that's the Little Mermaid. If you're staying there, it's just like staying at Pop Century. All the other towers, quote unquote, are suites.
Yeah.
Oh, because you're really close to Skyliner.
Well, the Skyliner came later.
Right. Yeah.
Much later.
So anyway, that's that. And I was like, I remember in the moment thinking like, who's gonna want to go to the 1920s themed thing? Like that.
23 Skidoo.
Like I get the concept.
Let's
but,
do the
like,
Charleston up to our door.
This is not. I understand why they abandoned this project because no one's going to be like, oh, hey kids, we have the 1910s room.
I remember you saying that. Yeah. And I assume it wasn't because of that. It was more because of 2001 and nobody was traveling.
It was
I think
definitely
it's a combination.
It was definitely a combo. So January 2001, they announced, that was the start of Pop Century. They wanted to open in 2 phases. They had the classic years, they had the legendary years. But then even before 9/11, never forget, Disney announced delays in construction to the other area, the legendary years. So in September of 2003, previews of the resort showed what we now know as Pop Century, but it also included dark and unfinished buildings across the lake.
That's right.
The decorations that were in place included the giant year markers, like you're saying, Dan, and 2x4 railings. Not real railings. Like the main thing that differentiates all of the value resorts is at least they have different railings that are themed to the area. But yeah, this was a giant, scary ghost hotel right across the lake and readily visible to anybody who stayed at Pop Century.
That was us.
Yeah, there you go. Pop Century itself opened December 14th, 2003. It was the largest resort in Disney and Florida history with 2,880 rooms on 235 acres. This brings the portfolio of Disney rooms to over 25,000 at the time. Pay no attention to those dark rooms across the lake. The area had a collection of memorabilia, including original Mickey Mouse Club stuff, drive-in movie speakers, a Jane Fonda workout book, Village People's Macho Man on 8-track, and all of these things were pretty much purchased through garage sales and personal collections of the Imagineers who were designing the resort. Giant decorations, Duncan Yo-Yo, bowling pins. So there were 9 large bowling pins, and the bowling pin pool is the 10th pin.
And that's cool. I didn't know that. That's the 50s, by the way. The bowling pins are all 50s, and the bowling pin pool is the 10th. That's really cool, and it's right in the center.
I just got lost just exploring the Skyliner route. I had no idea that it was so close.
Yeah, it's very close. It's literally at that hotel.
It's right there.
Right in the middle.
And then the 60s or the 50s, other 50s pool, I guess between the 60s is the Hippy Dippy pool.
Hippy Dippy.
Hippy Dippy pool.
Generation Gap Bridge is what they called that bridge.
Right.
Yeah, the Generation Gap Bridge was the initial intention when they were going to do the legendary years. And really, when they started going back to this concept, they figured, most people who would have any connection to the 20s are dead.
Yeah.
Let's not do this.
So you had the yo-yos in the 60s. The 70s, there's a giant Mickey Mouse phone, like a rotary phone.
Yeah.
And then there's a...
Who had one of those?
I did. I sure did.
Dan?
Nope.
I didn't, but my cousins did. Yeah.
Giant tricycle.
We had a phone in the kitchen. That's all we needed.
And it was a Mickey Mouse phone. And you pick up the handle. This is a hand. And then there's a giant foosball table in the middle of that complex in the 60s or 70s. Sorry.
Nice.
And punk rock was. I'm trying to figure out what the things are. I forget. So the bowling pins to the 50s, yo-yos to the 60s. I'm trying to figure out what the 70s little like giant icons are. And then the 80s are Rubik's Cubes.
Yeah.
And the 80s pool is called the computer pool, and it's right between the 80s and the 90s. And the computer pool is a giant
computers
rectangle.
aren't supposed to get wet.
It's a giant rectangle, and there's no theming whatsoever.
It's just a box. It's a pool.
And then I think they're little personal computers at the ends of the 90s tower and Rubik's Cubes for the others. Anyway,
Yeah.
I thought that was fun. Go ahead.
No, that is fun. And most people who stay at Pop Century go over to the Art of Animation.
Yeah, they do.
To swim in the big blue pool. Art of Animation opened up in 2012. It was the 26th, I'm bad at diction today, resort to open up at Walt Disney World. It was announced on May 12th, 2010. They're abandoning the old Pop Century thing. Now it's a tribute to movies that people like. The Lion King, Cars, Finding Nemo, and The Little Mermaid. These 4 movies are the main thrust of this entire resort. Dan, what
So
do you
no
have?
Charlie Chaplin. No Charlie Chaplin movies.
No.
No.
He's got a Hitler mustache. We can't include him.
But the
Maybe
Little
Hitler had a
Mermaid,
Charlie Chaplin mustache. Have you thought
You know
about
what?
that?
That's a good point. Let's reframe it.
that's fair. The Little Mermaid rooms.
Yes, let's be more fair to Hitler, everybody, please.
He gets a bad rap. What is the name of the Little Mermaid area pool, Dan?
What?
The Little Mermaid pool, what's it called?
Under the Sea.
Flippin' fins.
Oh God.
Flipping your fins, you don't get too far.
We need a break from the Little Mermaid IP for just 5 years. That's it. Just 5 years.
Lion King doesn't have a pool because it's Africa and it's too dry.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And kitty cats don't like wetness. They don't like
That's
water.
right. And then Eric had mentioned the big blue pool. That must be the Nemo.
That's the Nemo pool. That's the main
In
pool.
the big blue pool. And then the cozy cone pool. That must be Cars.
Yep.
That's really
All
cool.
right.
I've never stayed
Well, yeah.
there.
So I've stayed in the Little Mermaid building, not tower. That was they're okay. My wife has stayed at the Cars family suites, and that's fun.
By the way, people that get they obsess about hidden Mickeys, and they find hidden Mickeys where they are not in fact hidden. They're just like 3 circles. I think we're all looking at the map. Take another look at the Cozy Cone pool. I gotta point out to you, it's a hidden smiley face, and I think more
Well,
people
it
should
is
be
a
excited
smiley
by that.
face. Yeah, I don't know if it's hidden. Like you said, it's kind of like people find Mickeys where they're not Mickeys.
But this
I guess I
this
see
is
it.
more
It
fun.
looks like a clown, though.
Yeah, it's a hidden clown happy
The
face.
cone.
What
Okay.
does
That's
it have to do with-
exciting.
What does that have to do with Cars?
I don't know. It's just whimsical and it's fun.
All right. He's got a little chef's hat on.
Yeah.
The eyes are umbrellas.
Yeah, I think this is the future that Disney company needs to embrace. Hidden
Happy
smiley.
chef.
I think that's the
hidden
future
happy
of this.
chefs.
The future of this podcast is
It
just
might be.
finding images, and things.
Finding
If you look real close.
conspiracy theories that are like based on almost nothing and and hidden clown faces.
That's right.
This is a Coco. Look at him. Look at him. It's old Mama Coco. Well, anyway, the resort opened on May 31st, 2012. Initially, it was just the Finding Nemo area and the main Hall of Animation. The giant icons from the movies include the mighty back of Motorcycle Grandpa himself, King Triton. If you listen to that podcast that the other 2 people on this podcast are on,
I know that reference.
that
Motorcycle
tanked.
Grandpa's
I'm sorry.
awesome.
Yeah, Motorcycle
What?
Grandpa.
What other one?
We were scraping the vault when we did
right.
one
thing that you do.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
When
the
you said
resort-
the other 2 people, I'm like, Dan's not. You talked about Motorcycle Grandpa on the Bowie thing.
Yeah.
yet.
Every episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, the resort was intended to allow you to immerse yourself in the artistry and enchantment of Disney and Pixar movies. This was achieved through family suites, detailed courtyards. This resort drew your family in to become part of your favorite stories. Drew
Drew you into the
got it.
animated classics.
But we're
True.
past the pun era.
Right.
I explained the pun, and now it has no power over us.
That's how it works.
1.3 miles of trail around the two resorts. If you run around those resorts, you get a good workout.
Yeah.
Florida. In Florida. Ew.
Sometimes it's nice.
Yeah, it's not bad. The Big Blue Pool, we mentioned that. That is it's an 11,859 square foot, 310,000 gallon pool. It's massive. It is the largest pool in Walt Disney World. Underwater speakers play music and stereophonic conversations between Nemo and the other characters from the movie. They move around the pool. It's awesome. It bottoms out at 4 feet 8 inches deep. It is
Zero entry.
Yeah, it's a shallow pool, but people come from the Pop Century Resort to swim in this pool because it's so big and it's so interesting. The Nemo rooms. The chairs in these rooms are shaped like coral. The light fixtures are like bubbles. There is a Murphy bed in most rooms around this resort in general, but here, the image on the inside of the Murphy bed is...
Murphy's from Interstellar. It's not a Disney movie.
Oh, can they buy it?
I'm sure they can.
Can Chris Nolan give up the rights?
Probably not.
No. Here, the image on the inside of the beds is of Nemo and Marlin sleeping next to each other. The bathrooms have porthole-shaped mirrors. Bruce the shark is on the shower curtains. Huh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Cars section opened June 18th, 2002. There are plenty of photo ops outside. There are life-sized figures of the cars for pictures. Lightning McQueen has sponsor stickers, hawking Gasparin and leakless adult drip pans. Yeah. Fillmore is there. He has a sticker proclaiming Save 2D Animation. His license plate references the birthday of George Carlin, which was his original voice. Mater's plate and most of the rest of the plates around the area are A113. We all know about the thing at the CalArts thing.
That was the animator's room.
Right. Yeah.
Luigi's plates are 44.5-10.8. These are the GPS coordinates for the Ferrari manufacturing plant in Maranello, Italy.
Cool.
Giving away
And
secrets.
Flo's plate cover references the birth year of our best friend John Lasseter. So that's nice.
Best
Hugs all around.
The best hugs.
Mm-hmm. Best
And where
hugs.
are these plates?
on like Flo?
License
the
plates.
car.
Where in the hotel? In the hotel.
Oh, they've got a bunch of cars like outside, like on the grounds outside of the Cars suites.
Got it.
Yeah. The rooms themselves have tool chests as drawers in the Cars area. The coffee table has a map of Radiator Springs, and the Cozy Cone pool uses giant traffic cones as cabanas. This is a smaller pool than the Big Blue pool. It is only 74,750 gallons.
And from an aerial
It's
view,
clown
it
smile.
looks like a smiling clown with a chef hat.
That's
There you go. The
Look it
Lion King.
We're not crazy. Look it up.
What do you see? What do you see, listener?
Look at it.
He has a beard.
Please
Yeah,
write in.
Oh, yeah. He's a little scruffy beard.
The Lion King area opened August 10th, 2012. There is a giant elephant skeleton in the courtyard guarded by Scar and the hyenas. It's a play area with soft rubber, so you can run around the corpse of an elephant while you play and run down
yeah, you
slides.
can.
You two can deliberately disobey Mufasa.
Oh, there you go. There's a
R.I.P.
giant Mufasa on Pride Rock. Timon and Pumbaa are nearby. This is all on the way to the Little Mermaid area, which is forever away from the main resort. Just as a side note, as somebody who has stayed in the Little Mermaid area, please ask your Lyft driver to drop you off at your rooms rather than the main area, because you're going to have to walk a half a mile to your rooms. The nightly resort movie, because a lot of the Walt Disney World resorts have a movie every night. The nightly movie is in the Lion King area. Timon and Pumbaa are on your shower curtains in this area, and Zazu is on the headboards.
Just lecturing you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to lecture me.
No.
Now I get it.
Zazu lectures you.
Yeah. The Little Mermaid area, despite being built many years before, opened up on September 15th, 2012. That's only a few days after the anniversary of September 11th. Never forget. There's a Prince Erik statue. Note the pronunciation. This is Erik with a C. I am Erik with a K. We pronounce it differently. The balconies have festive steel cutouts with sea creatures that are kind of nice there. There is a 35-foot tall King Triton outside of the room that I stayed in one time. There are 4 stories in each building. This is the largest area of the resort, even though it's very far from the center. The interiors are pleasant. There's a curtain separating the bedroom from the bathroom. The coffee table has music sheets from Sebastian.
Because the bathroom's where the water is, and we don't want the humans and the mermaids.
We got to separate that thematically. The chairs at the coffee table are shell-shaped, and I'm very glad, just on a personal note, that I didn't have to share this room with Mike from Concierge when we went on that trip, because he bailed on me, and I'm glad that I didn't have to share this tiny room with another man. Personal reflection, again, terrible cell reception, very poor Wi-Fi at that point. Just saying. This resort has its central area is the animation hall. This is an impressive and colorful area where when you check in, there's a big mural depicting the animation process. So you start out on the area like closest to the entrance with storyboards and sketches, and then it progresses into actual animation. There's a wavy curve. There's a lot of dynamic lighting that changes while you're looking at it. Once you get into the main hallway, there's a storyboard chandelier, kind of like the chandelier at DCA when you go into the gosh, I'm blanking on the name. What's the animation that used to be Ariel's Grotto?
Where?
Dan, Jimmy,
What?
help me.
What?
Yeah, I'm just talking.
Art of Animation Ariel's Grotto.
The restaurant.
Lamplight.
Lamplight
Lamplight
Lounge.
Lounge.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go. It's similar to the Lamplight Lounge because this storyboard chandelier was designed by John Lasseter himself.
Yeah.
More hugs.
And just looking at these two places and thinking where would I want to stay in terms of like ease of access, like if you're calling concierge and you want to say I would prefer to stay at this place over this place,
Yeah.
because of the access to the Skyliner. Looks like the Finding Nemo rooms and the
Cars
60s
rooms.
rooms are
Oh, yeah.
where it's at. And I don't know, I'm sure there's a difference in price for the easy access, but it might really be worth it, especially in the Florida heat. And then after that, I would say probably the 70s at Pop Century would be the next closest to the Skyliner.
Yeah, depending on the
And-
room.
Right, depending on the room. And then after
Right.
that, Lion King, then 50s, then Cozy Cone. I would definitely not want to stay at the 80s or at Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Unless
Gosh,
I just
they're so
wanted
far
to
away.
have that specific theming, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Little Mermaid rooms are less expensive on account of they're not suites.
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. They're tiny. They're far away. The air conditioning is hot and, I mean, cold. But yeah, it's running high. There's not a lot else going out there. But here, fun fact: what is Lightning McQueen's number?
95.
65.
You
69.
are correct, Jimmy.
Why is it 95?
What's that?
Why is it 95?
The year that Toy Story debuted.
That's right. First fully animated computer-generated film.
The original number for Lightning McQueen, as you will see in some of the pictures in the lobby of the Art of Animation Resort, shows Lightning McQueen with the number 57, which was...
Oh. No idea.
It's the year John Lasseter was born.
Oh, boy.
This is a very Lasseter heavy place.
Sure is. Yeah.
This has been Eric's Fun Facts. Hey, another fun fact. The employees working check-in were originally not called cast members. What were they called? Any guesses?
Animators.
Concept artists.
Oh, God.
Eric's Fun Facts.
It's great. I love this. I love maps. And the lake is called Hourglass Lake. It's shaped like
Hourglass Lake.
I've never really gone into deep into the map of Disney World, and this is fascinating.
It's fun.
Like I'm kind of like stuck in this and halfway listening to the show, to be honest.
Yeah. And where you can, in Google Maps, you can put the little person down, and everything he was explaining, I was looking at it from that perspective. It was so fun. Listener, when you listen to this episode, do what we're doing. Don't pay attention to Eric. Look at the map.
Don't listen to me. Can you look at the ink and paint shop?
Yeah, I can.
Which is the main gift shop.
At the Art of Animation Resort.
At Art of Animation. The wall fixtures are ink jars, and they sell art supplies.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Like paints and crayons and
lollipops,
colored pencils and lollipops. You can rub that lollipop on your piece of paper.
And it would seem that it goes into the food court, which is called the Landscape of Flavors.
Yeah. 4 major food stations with rotating menus. Each zone is themed after the 4 movies of the resort.
I want to go there.
It's not bad. I mean, they've got a lot of variety there for a quick service place. They don't have a sit-down restaurant at any of the value resorts, but I think, based on my experience, Animation Hall's Landscape of Flavors is the best quick service place out of all the value resorts. It's really good, actually.
I'm getting hungry.
I've been hungry since we started.
Oh, he's been hungry for more facts.
Yeah. So cool,
I'm out of
Eric.
facts. I was gonna do another fact, but I don't have one.
This looks like potentially a salmon burger with like gooey stuff on it.
Gooey salmon burger. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, generic beer.
Give me more of that goo.
Seats.
Oh, and if you're staying in the Little Mermaid rooms, you can walk a half a mile after you get your food.
There you go.
And then sweat in the floor to eat. Yeah,
that's all I got.
That's
folks.
so cool, Eric. You did a great job. Thank you. That's very cool. Somebody who's stayed at all these places, with the exception of Art of Animation, but close enough. That's so much fun. I had no idea about the little Finding Nemo sounds in the water. That was so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did not swim in the big blue pool because the last time I stayed there, I was alone, and nothing screams pedophile more than a random dude swimming in a pool.
It's up there.
Future episode. How to be a pedophile.
Going to Disney Junior.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'm going to order the food delivery involving chicken tenders.
Pop Century.
I'm honestly,
tenders.
I'm so hungry that I saw the chicken tenders in the Google images for this restaurant, and I was like, that looks good. And I don't like chicken tenders.
I'm getting those.
I'm going to get some Chinese food with barbecue sauce.
Hey, you do you.
All right. Well,
Very cool.
That's Walt Disney World.
Well, that's great. So I think, again, like we kind of intimated, didn't intend to, we're going to make this part 2 of 3 or part deux on account of all the French talk. But listener, I think we've given you some general basics on the value resorts at Walt Disney World. And I think probably worth talking about some pricing just because we had talked about it. Now, All-Star Music, All-Star Movies, and All-Star Sports are all not the same price.
Really?
As I mentioned,
The 3 are different prices?
Movies is the most popular, so the price is more expensive.
Oh, because they've got giant, like, Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah,
where
it's
you
just
could live in his chest cavity.
That's right. So you can get an apartment in his chest cavity. That's more expensive. That's like the Dreamer's Suite or whatever. Anyway, so one night, 2 adults, 2-day park hopper pass at the music and the sports is $925. At the movies, it's $967. So it's slightly more expensive for the movies. Pop Century, with the giant logo, Pop Century for one night, 2 adults, 2-day park hopper, $975. So slightly more expensive than the movies. Art of Animation, presumably the Little Mermaid room, $1,027.
Yeah, I mean, for values, they're still not cheap. But I mean, when you come down to it, Pop Century and Art of Animation do have the Skyliner,
Yes, that's true.
and
So
that kicks them up.
So All-Star Movies All-Star Movies $967, Pop Century $975. So for that, what is that? $8. It's worth being on the Skyliner for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, in the next episode, we are going to finish the value resorts for all of the hotels, the 9 hotels that are in the value category that are half mile and beyond.
Do we
from
want
the
to do that
Disneyland
for the
Resort.
next episode, or do we want to give the listener a break from this and do something else?
I feel like our podcast might be taken over by an unholy guest.
Oh,
for the
that's
next
right.
episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
goodness. All right. Well, anyway, next time we talk about hotels, it's going to be the Valley Resorts at Disneyland. Well, thank you both. That was really fun. Thank you for indulging me on my Disneyland Paris nonsense. I think we will be exploring more about Disneyland Paris as it relates to the domestic parks in future episodes and beyond. So in the meantime, I feel like it's so abrupt. Anybody have anything else you want to add?
I can share my Carl's Jr. order that I'm placing with
Ooh.
Grubhub.
No barbecue
3-piece
sauce.
hand-breaded. Nope. I thought about it, but I'm like, nope, that's gross. A 3-piece hand-breaded chicken tenders, and I'm getting honey mustard. Did you know that you cannot get ranch? I was very upset with that.
Did not know that.
Fried zucchini. I will be
Why
getting
would
house
you?
dressing, which is ranch. I will push back against your ranch hatred all the time. And a double famous star. Don't worry, I will be eating this over several meals.
Sure.
I'm also that hungry.
Next time, Dan, you come to this neck of the woods, there's a restaurant called Two Cities Pizza. 2 locations, one in Cincinnati, Ohio, one in Swanee, Georgia. 2 cities, Chicago deep dish and New York style. Very well, best bathrooms on the whatever
property.
Nice.
Yeah.
They are voted best bathrooms. They have awards. Because anyway, we go there. Best ranch dressing, I think, on the planet, Dan. A lot of dill.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
by the way, coincidentally, what we're having for dinner tonight.
Dill?
Dill.
Ranch dressing?
Just dill. No, we're having Two Cities pizza. We never order the pizza because the Chicago deep dish is not good, and the New York style is not New York style. But their garlic bread is wonderful.
It's really about the water.
Salads are great.
It's about the water.
It's about the water.
Yeah.
And what I would do is go to Nancy's Pizza, Eric, down the street, get the Chicago deep dish.
When I'm out here, it's hard.
Wait,
for
you
me
have
to
a
get
real
good pizza.
Nancy's?
We have a real Nancy's. Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's so good. It is the best Chicago deep dish ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm hungry. Listener, I hope you're hungry too.
We talked about PewDiePod and the
Oh yeah,
Star Wars
that's
and
right. I knew there was something else we
and
did.
the Bowie thing.
PewDiePod. They talk about Marvel movies in order, spoiler free, in order of release.
I think I'm going to be on the Captain Marvel episode. I don't know when it comes
fun.
out, but a while from now.
Close to me
think-
being back on the next Avengers movie.
Great. And then there's the Star Wars. Are the Star Wars people still doing their thing?
They do
Let's say they are.
things.
I think
Did
they're
they
talking
talk
about
about the
Battlestar
Acolyte?
Galactica now.
That's right. They probably talked about the Acolyte at some point. I still need to watch that. You can listen to Erik if you love his dulcet tones. You can listen to him on Ears Up podcast. And then there's Scraping the Vault, where we did. We already talked about it, I think, on the last episode. And then we did the Haunted Mansion, Muppets Haunted Mansion. It was really well received. And then coming up on the holiday Dealer's Choice episodes coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And before we get through the Tinkerverse, and then we're going to move on to the live action remakes of Scraping the Vault. What else am I missing? Is that it?
If you like hearing me say things, you can
Yes,
go
I do.
to the Sweep Spot. The next episode is me and several other people talking about what it's like to be a Disney adult.
Oh, fun. Fellow concierge Lynn.
Yep, Lynn is his name.
And and then of course there's also DL Weekly. Hub Crawl.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Bowie splaining. There's all the podcasts. Listen to all.
There's
the
ones we
podcasts.
aren't on too. I like Hollywood Handbook a lot.
Yeah, you do.
What else?
I'm not on How Did This Get Made, but I like that one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I like Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, also
Martinless is a good
something
one.
I'm not on.
Yeah. I like, you know what else I like? You're talking about movies is the one with Paul Scheer and Amy Nicholson.
Unspooled?
Unspooled is a great one. They just covered Beetlejuice recently.
Truanon is here. Let me open up my Spotify. Let's see.
What's
Democracy
Carly
Now! Is
Wiesel
really
on
good,
lately?
especially if you enjoy
Oh,
being
yeah.
depressed.
I haven't
about
listened to her.
Things.
She's going to future guest, though. Future host. Judge. something.
Truanon.
All right. We just don't know how to do an episode that's not 2 hours long.
That
So
is
sorry.
fun.
We've been recording for 2 hours.
We have.
It's not all getting in the
what's this
episode. I'll tell you that.
I've been in this chair for 2.5.
It's called Soccer. I don't know why that's on my feed, but apparently I should be listening to that.
Is that what the sport or that's a podcast?
It's a podcast.
Okay. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Those are the other podcasts to listen to. Dan's going to take us out with his list. In the meantime, be good to each other, and court is adjourned.
Okay. I have
Rewind.
let's see. I don't really have a whole lot of. Oh, if you want to listen to. Oh, but there's Dan Hates the Beatles. That's still something.
Of course,
that
that's the thing.
exists in the thing. Before they
hasn't been
take it away
removed
from
yet,
us.
yeah.
So, well, many of them have been removed due to copyright reasons, but yeah. Let's see. Like I said, Knowledge Fight. Knowledge Fight's really fun. It's
I haven't heard of that one.
Listen,
Yeah.
Let's listen to some Knowledge Fight.
Hold it up
Also-
to the mic.
Check your colon.
Worship at the altar of Celine and talk a little bit about Alex Jones.
It's all about Alex Jones. and stuff. It's great. Anyway,
That's too much.
RM Brown's fun. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording. Goodbye.